What's going on, Vikings fans? Happy Monday morning to all of you guys. And coming up on today's show, we're going to be talking about Brock Purdy getting his mega extension from the San Francisco 49ers. What does that mean for J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings moving forward? Then also, could the Vikes cut Blake Brandel before the season begins? Then PFF was showing Blake Cashman a whole lot of love. They dropped an underrated players list, and Blake Cashman actually highlighted that list. We'll dive into all that on today's show. But before we do so, some big-time NFL news that does impact the Minnesota Vikings here. Warren Sharp tweeting this out, saying, I predict the proposal to change playoff seeding will pass. The two key reasons are simple and hinge around the NFL wanting to increase ratings. Playoff seeding by record and reseeding after round one will, number one, make Week 18 more meaningful, and two, more likely for the top two seeds to meet each other in the conference championship game. Now, as a Vikings fan, you would think I would be all on board with this deal because the Vikings would have been the 2 seed in the conference last year. They actually would have had the tiebreaker against the Eagles, so they would have been the number 2 seed in the entire NFC despite losing the division to the Lions. So you would think I would be in on this, but I'm not. I think this would be a terrible idea because I still want winning the division to matter more than anything because those division games, week 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 of the season, they have such a big-time feel. And then, even just take last year. Like, you talk about making Week 18 more meaningful. Well, last year, Vikings-Lions, that was probably the most meaningful regular season game we have ever seen in NFL history. Fighting for the number 1 seed, fighting for the NFC North crown, and then the loser on the other side of it had to go play the Los Angeles Rams, a very good football team on the road. So I am still in the camp. Keep the division winners hosting a home playoff game. That's where I would stand, but hey, if you guys got other thoughts, let me know down below in the comment section. But before we dive into the rest of today's show, if you guys could help us out here, we're actually closing in on 57,000 subscribers here on YouTube, which is unreal. I cannot believe we're closing in on that milestone. It's all credit to you guys. But if you guys have not hit that subscribe button just yet, we just need 196 more of you guys to do so. Go down there, hit that subscribe button today if you guys want to stay up to date around the latest on your Minnesota Vikings. All right, let's talk about the Brock Purdy mega contract extension that broke on Friday. Mike Garafolo tweeting this out, another detail of the contract, saying, as part of his 5-year, $265 million extension, Brock Purdy received a full no-trade clause for the duration of that deal, which is pretty crazy because I am pretty sure some of the only quarterbacks in the NFL with the no-trade clause, Kirk Cousins obviously being one of them, and obviously Atlanta wishes Kirk did not have that no-trade clause right now, but the Niners giving Brock Purdy a 5-year, $265 million extension and a no-trade clause. So clearly Brock and that Niners organization, they're going to be attached at the hip for the next 5 seasons. And that actually ranks Brock tied for 7th in terms of the highest quarterbacks paid on a per-year basis. Now, I will say, yes, this list is like 100% true, but it's also a little bit of a fugazi because you guys notice Patrick Mahomes is not on this list and his per year number is still at 50 million. So, he shouldn't crack this list. But if you if you look at like the actual money given out to these quarterbacks over the last 4 seasons, like Patrick Mahomes is by far number 1. So the per year number sometimes can be a little bit of a fugazi, but still Brock Purdy tied for 7th getting 53 million. And just looking at all of those cap hits, like I am so grateful as a Vikings fan right now to finally have a quarterback on a rookie deal because I will stand by this take. I think in terms of roster construction in the NFL and just building an overall team, there is no bigger advantage you can have than having a quarterback on a rookie deal. Like we saw the Vikings this past free agency period, going all in, getting Hargrave, Allen, Kelly, Fries, and we even seen like the Commanders go trade for Laramie Tunsil, trade for Deebo Samuel. We saw the Texans trying to take advantage of C.J. Stroud on his rookie deal, making some big-time moves. Like, truly, there is no bigger advantage in terms of building a roster in the NFL than just having that rookie quarterback on that rookie deal. And we can look here at J.J. McCarthy's cap hits for the next 3 seasons. It's a steal, man. I mean, you just saw those $50+ million per year figures. Then you look at JJ, 4.9 in 2025, 5.9 in 26, 6.9 in 27. Like, this truly does start the start of the Super Bowl window for the Minnesota Vikings. And how, I connect this back to, Brock Purdy, JJ McCarthy. And I was just thinking about both of their, specifically Brock's start to his NFL career, where it's like he won a lot of games, made the Super Bowl once, made the conference championship, got hurt in that conference championship, or else he probably would have made 2 Super Bowls in 3 years starting in the NFL. Obviously, last year, did not go well. A lot of injuries were a big reason for the Niners struggling here. But I think Brock and JJ will have similar starts to their careers where, they are on loaded teams. They will also not get any of the credit. And I think that same thing's going to apply to JJ. I could see the Vikings, let's just say they do replicate 14 wins this upcoming season. And they do go 14-3, shock the NFL world yet again. Some people will give JJ a lot of credit, but I still think a lot of these people will just say, oh, it's the system. It's Kevin O'Connell. It's Justin Jefferson. I'm not saying they are wrong by saying that, but we're going to have a lot of the similar discourse and conversation that we have around Brock right now, where it's like, is he really that good? Can he play, that level of football without that amount of talent around him? I think the same thing's going to be said for J.J. McCarthy. So watch out just for the discourse and the conversation around those two to be very similar to start their NFL careers. But let's show him some love on today's show. Type those 9s down below in the comments section. Any chance we get a chance to show J.J. McCarthy some love, we would do just that. So type those 9s down below in the comments section. And also, if you guys want to get a J.J. McCarthy jersey today, hit that link, chatsports.com/Vikings jersey. Have that link for you guys in the comments section and description of today's show. So take advantage. If you guys want to get a J.J. McCarthy jersey today, hit that link in the comments section, chatsports.com/Vikings jersey. All right, let's talk about Blake Brandel here. Saw an article online suggesting that the Vikes could be open to cutting him before the season begins. Now, obviously, they drafted Donovan Jackson in the first round. He'll slide in there and start at left guard, and then that leaves Blake Brandel as kind of that, backup, rotational, interior offensive lineman. Can also play some swing tackle if needed, so I do think he has some value there. But in terms of Blake Brandel and mainly his game last season, I think we definitely saw his play, I don't want to say fall off a cliff, but definitely take a step back once Darrisaw got hurt. Now, obviously, when you're playing against or playing next to an all-pro guy like Darrisaw, your game should take a step up. And we saw that for the first 7 games of the season, specifically the first month. Blake Brandel was fantastic, but final 10 games, allowed 5 sacks, 31 pressures, graded out in the 50s, overall grade, pass block, and run block grade. And, if the Vikings were to decide to cut him, it doesn't really make too much sense financially. Now, I don't think they would make him a pre-June 1 cut, which would help out the Vikings just a little bit, but I don't think that's likely. Now, you would have a $2.3 million dead cap hit, would save $1.6 million in savings in 25, but I don't think that's worth it. Now, maybe a trade could be on the table for the Vikings. Obviously, a lot of these teams in the NFL need interior offensive linemen. Maybe they view Blake Brandel as a guy that could start, throw the Vikings maybe a late 7th-round pick or something of that nature, and that would make more sense since the dead cap hits in each of the year, not bad whatsoever. 2025 savings, $3.25 million. So that could be an avenue, but I still would like Blake Brandel just to be a backup rotational offensive lineman for the Vikings because, Will Fries had some big-time injuries over his NFL career. Donovan Jackson, unknown commodity at the left guard spot. And then Brian O'Neill and Darrisaw have been injured, a number of times the last couple of years. So you got a guy who is extremely versatile like Blake Brandel, who can fill in and play right guard, who can fill in and play left or right tackle. So if I was making the decision, I would not cut him. I would just keep him on the team. But then again, if a team does throw you, an extra 6th-round pick, 7th-round pick, you would have to consider it. But as it stands right now, the way this Vikings roster is shaping up, I would just keep him on the roster. You can never have too many good backup offensive linemen because if one of those guys were to go down, I would feel comfortable with Blake Brandel just stepping in there for a couple of games and just manning the ship for that offensive line. But what say you? Would you cut Blake Brandel? Give me a C for cut or give me a K for keep. You guys let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. I'm keeping him. Maybe if a trade comes along, maybe I would consider it. But as it stands right now, I think it makes just sense for the Vikes to keep Brandel on the roster. All right, let's talk about Blake Cashman here. As PFF actually had Cashman on their all underrated team / list that they put out. They chose one player from each NFL team and just decided to land on Blake Cashman as an underrated player for the Vikings, and it makes a lot of sense. I think he is one of the most underrated players, not just on the Vikings, but in the entire league. And this is what PFF had to say, saying Cashman is a relative unknown in the league as a former 5th-round pick who, outside of his rookie season and prior to becoming a starter in 2023, has failed to crack 150 defensive snaps in 3 straight seasons. However, Cashman broke out big in a big way in 2023 with the Texans, earning a top 10 PFF overall grade for his position, 82.1, which helped him land a 3-year deal with Brian Flores and Minnesota. Now, I think Blake Cashman, if if I had to pick one glue guy on this defense, it would be him. And I think just him wearing the green dot, he's calling the adjustments after the after the other team's offense adjust to what the Vikings are showing. He's one making those final adjustments, and we really saw when he had to miss 2 of the 4 losses this season for the Vikings, the first time against the Lions and the Rams. Like, we saw that defense take a step back. We saw a guy like Ivan Pace, who then had to wear the green dot in place of Blake Cashman, just not play as free. So I think he is that glue guy that kind of just gets everybody in the right spots, make sure everybody is doing their job the best they can. So I agree with PFF calling Blake Cashman underrated. I definitely think he is. And plus, he's just a maniac in coverage, maniac coming off the edge when Flores decides to blitz him. So all types of love go Blake Cashman's way. But if you just look at his PFF grades here in 2024, nothing's going to like blow you away. Honestly, I thought PFF kind of screwed him out of a couple of these because like coverage grade, you're saying he's the 57th best coverage linebacker in the league. I just disagree with that. Same with the pass rush. Whenever he's coming off the edge, man, he is a problem to deal with. He's just so fast, so athletic. Can't wait to watch Cashman play another season for the Minnesota Vikings. Let's show him some love to wrap up today's show. Type those 51s down below in the comments section. Show Blake Cashman our support here on the channel. And we'll see y'all next time. As always, let's go Vikes.